thank you for that lovely introduction. I am so excited to dive in today. You know, the phrase touching grass really hits home for me in particular because we are craving those visceral experiences of I was there. And here we all are in a space, we're builders, and we're creating the future of experiences. And yet reconciling that there's a growing hunger for and consumer desire for authentic, meaningful connection with each other and for experiencing that sense of being there, touching grass, so to speak. So, I think it's good to remind ourselves also, we're just 5 years from that moment that we were all stuck inside and without the physical experiences that we have become accustomed to, we were taught to expect the future of digital experiences. That's the next thing, and our new world emerging. And since then, immersive technology in the market, including AR, VR, wearables, has exploded from $43 billion to an estimated $333 billion this year. It's unbelievable. And yet reconciling that desire to really have authentic, meaningful connection. So I'm curious, and I want to dig in today, how are each of us really seeing that in our organizations? And how do we make technology converge with those consumer desires, that visceral and tactile sensation of experiencing in real life? So Shachar, I'd like to start with you. And Meta is really at the center of this shift from screen-based to spatial computing. And I'd like to know a little bit more from you. What does it mean, immersion in motion, for the future of experience?
So our MetaQuest platform really gives people an opportunity to immerse themselves, both using virtual reality as well as mixed reality, to experience both games, fitness, entertainment in ways that put you at the center of games that you love, but also of sports. We have an amazing partnership with the NBA where you can sit courtside from the comfort of your own couch, which I think we have a great video, actually, that we can play. Cue video.
That you can allegedly fake.
Any moment video.
Or not. There it is. Okay, cool. So what you'll see is that we have 52 games that you can watch every single day from the comfort of your own couch. You can also play your favorite teams, you can watch your favorite players, and it gives you an opportunity to engage. And some people may never get the chance to sit their favorite teams courtside, and some people also may never get the opportunity to immerse themselves in that environment. And so VR, MR allows you to experience things that you might not be able to, and also work out with your favorite athletes using FitXR or Supernatural. So I think, as you said, that immersive experience gives people a different opportunity to do things that you don't necessarily always get the chance to do. So an extension of your real self.
Thank you. And hands-free experiences is something I want to really dive into in a little bit. But first, Paul, I think we understand that immersive medium is not just a way to create experiences that are novel. It's really also about how we bring people into story, how we build deep connection with each other. One thing in particular that I think you have perspective on, I'd love you to share, is access to biometric data, for example, has previously only really been available to elite athletes. Yeah. What does that mean now for fan and audience engagement, and how does that bridge between athletes?
Yeah. So it's great to be here, first of all, and I want to give you credit for the branding of the panel. Does touching grass mean something to each of us? When we were talking last night, I was thinking like when an athlete scores, they'll touch grass like that and they celebrate, like, come on. And then like hockey players score and they touch ice. And then ultimately what everyone here is doing is helping fans touch the grass too, metaphorically. So brilliant name, well done. And we're all trying to figure that out. Now, when I think about how immersive experiences help the league, the players, our GMs, so you bucket that. And then you also look at the fans. And it's slightly different, but it's immersive because in a lot of ways it's integrated. So the biometric data, you can work with companies like Catapult or Whoop or Apple and these groups that actually will attach hardware to a player, and this isn't novel, but we get GPS scores and things of that nature. What we're living in an environment now with AI is the friction was expediting getting that real-time data and pushing it through the broadcast. Because now all of a sudden that's the integration of getting really, really powerful biometric reads for players, for coaches to make real-time decisions, for GMs to make selections in the upcoming draft, now transferred to fans to enhance the viewing experience, and even betting operators to change their prop bets and get more exciting. So the other friction, if you look at the leagues and what we see our peers have to deal with, or players associations. So sometimes the biometric data is actually too valuable. And what you get in sport historically, whether it's, I still like to call it the Michael Jordan flu game, even though we found out in The Last Dance that it was food poisoning. You get something so special in sports, which is an unexpected outcome. It's the best form of original storytelling. You don't know what's going to happen in the end. All of the biometric data would have said, don't play or give the ball to Michael Jordan right now. He has no resources. And then he scored 45 points. And they won Game 6 against the Jazz, whatever it is. And so that's what's exciting about sports. So you balance that. And then you have agents that are going, shit, like, my player's a gamer. I don't want his bench press numbers out there. His draft pick is going to dip. So there's some of that happens on the property side that I'll call out. And then on the servicing and the fan side, these two do it so well. But how do you create an immersive experience for someone at home that wants to sit courtside? How do you create AR, augmented experiences, through league apps like our PLL app and WLL app? How do you integrate AR on-site at games through lens technology with the video board? You all have probably seen if you've attended a game where you can see like Coca-Cola hair as it scans the crowd and everyone's like shaking their fake hair. So you're engaging your core fan and then ultimately can tell stories more immersively through the platforms that have more scale than the sports leagues to introduce them to the sport top of funnel.
Great, thank you. And it seems like we're moving from wearables as mere accessories into wearables as interfaces to whole new dimensions of engagement. And that's what's exciting now about the advancements and evolution of the technology itself. And I'm curious about your perspectives, each of you, in wearables and in a sense of connecting to community and building community, whether that's through sports or something else. Jeremi, I'd love to start with you.
Yeah, I didn't practice my dance moves. Maybe for the second question, I will touch grass. Also, it's very hot in my seat specifically. But I think there are a couple of ways. Everything that we do is meant to enhance the fan experience. I think one of the things that's become sad, and I do it too, is you go to these things, you love, whatever. I love the Dodgers. I went to all of the games of the World Series. And everyone around me had their phones held up to, whatever, Freddie Freeman home grand slam, which is maybe my favorite minute of my lifetime. Don't tell my husband that it wasn't as good as my wedding, or it was better than my wedding, but nonetheless, I was wearing these, which are wearables by Meta, and I got to take the same video, but I also got to experience it as a fan. And I think that is huge. It's in music, in culture, in sport. The ability to the hands-free experience is extraordinary, and somehow we got away from it. And I actually went to a concert just on Wednesday, and same thing. Like, I'm watching the concert through the person's phone in front of me. And I can't even imagine what that would feel like as an artist. It must stink. I've never been interesting enough for everybody to hold up their phones, but if you guys would like to do that, thank you. Nonetheless, I think, again, Fanatics relentlessly focused on the fan experience. We have a huge event coming up in New York next weekend, 140,000 people, so many athletes, and I am so hopeful that it's just not phones in everybody's faces, both for the athlete and for the fans.
Thank you. Shachar?
I mean, Jeremi just said it. She is like the #1 evangelist of this product. She isn't a brand ambassador. We need to get her an affiliate code immediately. But yeah, I mean, she said it. It isn't an opportunity for fans to experience their favorite sport, their favorite musician, artist, hands-free, and really live in the moment, be able to experience that sport, that concert, hands-free. We did a concert with Busta Rhymes in Brooklyn and, didn't have phones there, and we look forward to actually being at Fanatics and doing something very special with Jeremi next week. But it is an opportunity for, I think, sports fans especially to watch their favorite athlete without that interruption, without that screen taking away from their experience. And the AI glasses allow you to do that and also be able to get scores, get telemetry, get information about their favorite athlete without having to take out their phone from their pocket. So it is a hands-free experience.
I'll offer maybe one analogy. As an athlete, you want to, the old saying is look good, feel good, play good. You want product that fits you. In our case, you want gloves that are have as much mobility and dexterity as possible, and a handle that feels good, and a head that throws the ball right. And I think what Meta's doing so well in the Ray-Ban partnership, and I'm sure soon to be others, is they're also creating product that the fan wants to wear such that they look good and feel good and then capture well. And that is not so subtle. That's really important. And the thing in technology and hardware is sometimes you're actually too far ahead of the curve and you have to wait for the audience to catch up. And there was a lot of friction with mobile devices 15 years ago. And now we're using cameras secondhand. Apple's done a good job of creating a luxury component to their brand. And when you look at the eyewear or the Ray-Bans that Meta's using, there's a luxury component. And so I would venture out to guess that there's going to be more sort of luxurious ways to wear the technology, which limits some of the friction. You'll see more fans interacting. Is that a fair guess?
Yeah.
It is a fair guess. Yeah, and I think
I'm a good predictor.
yeah, you are. You have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
You're on it.
It is an opportunity, I think, to create more styles and brands and price points so that more people can experience it.
Like we were saying backstage, I have my family's from Lebanon, so I have a rather large nose, and most people don't know, but there's 3 numbers on the inside of your sunglasses. Sorry to hijack this whole panel, but my nose width is 18, or it's a normal 18 for sunglasses. My nose width is 22. So I need custom sunglasses like athletes need custom helmets. I've just got a big nose.
We did try to put them on Shaq together, and it was suboptimal.
We did.
Yeah, otherwise
Yeah.
I'm sort of like this,
Yeah.
and that's not
We'll work
the
on it.
experience
We'll
I
work
want.
on it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
Great. I like that.
Nose
The next,
glasses.
We're
next
structuring a
edition.
deal right now.
That's right. That's right. Live negotiations.
22. Got it.
Well, I think that what we're witnessing right now is this unique moment in time where there's a democratization of the technology. It's bringing us closer to performance athletes. It's bringing us closer to each other as fans and in engagement. And I think just witnessing this big shift in how it shapes our sense of identity. And I think recognizing that sports has never been just about entertainment. Sports is so much bigger than that. It really, for most people, it's about identity. It's about a sense of belonging and community, and something that's so much bigger than ourselves. So I really think that as we democratize technology, it's an interesting thing how one will really work in lockstep with that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just start by saying that Ryan Linder, I don't know if he's here, and the entire Stagwell team, they've had us here from the beginning. Hey, brother. So 3 years ago, they were ahead of all of Cannes by launching Sport Beach. And sport is no longer the best kept secret across industries. But one of the things that makes it so powerful is you drive attention, you drive community, you create commercial outcomes, there's real estate enterprises tied to it. But as sport has become more competitive and there are more and more options, that lifetime value of why there's institutional capital pouring in is basically at 30 years. It's an incredible business if you can bring a fan into your business. But I would estimate in the next 5 years, there's a greater likelihood to churn. That number might come down because of the competition. Thus, you have to create more immersive outcomes so that you can hold on to your core fan and keep bringing those in that are technologically savvy or looking for content introductions to players, teams, highlights, results.
The other thing I think to note is how tech is really changing the landscape of the traditional broadcast method of pushing content to users in a more passive function to real two-way conversation and meaningful engagement. Suddenly, we are part of the story. We're creating the story. These are, two-way engagement. And I'm curious, how is that really shaping in your organizations? How are you really looking at that next evolution and big leap?
So I think there's a for better, for worse here, right? So yes, it's a two-way conversation, but the landscape is so fragmented. And one of the reasons I am on this panel, not just because I work at Fanatics, but I was one of the founding investors in Angel City, the women's soccer club in LA. And the NWSL deal is amazing and complicated. It is on a bazillion different channels at a ton of weird times and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's really difficult. So what ends up happening is that people follow players actually more than they follow towns. If you were to rewind time 20 years and say, I love whoever, let's go with Freddie Freeman again, because why not? I am an LA homer. But many of you are from New York, and you can still love Freddie Freeman now. I actually think Tom Brady is one of the more interesting examples. When he moved to Tampa Bay, people still loved Tom Brady. Before, it would be like, well, if you are not a Patriot anymore, I'm out. And so I think that's the for better part. The for worse is that it's really fragmented. And then I was actually just telling Paul this backstage. I'm born and raised Southern California. I had never seen a lacrosse game before until your league existed. All of my East Coast friends would be like, oh, I'm doing this with my kids. This is what's happening this week. And I was like, cool, we'll be playing water polo over here. See you later. And because of the democratization, because it's a two-way dialogue, because people like you and your league exist and you can have fandom in a sport you've never even seen, that's the for better. And then it just needs to be more discoverable.
And now your kids play.
I have no kids, but
You
if
have no
I
kids.
did have
Who
them,
am- who am
they
I
would
s- who am I-
totally play.
Who am I writing?
My
the note?
friends' kids. Yeah.
Friends' kids.
Yeah.
Friends' kids play.
My imaginary children would like you very much. Yeah.
And I'd love to talk a little bit just about the business of authentic connection, because no longer can brands or organizations really rely on the more traditional models. We really now are meeting the moment and the appetite for authentic, real connections. And I'd love to see how that's taking shape in your organizations.
Yeah, we partnered with Wrexham, and they obviously the partnership with and what Ryan and Rob have done with that club has just been a fascinating story. If you guys haven't seen it, strongly recommend watching their show. But they've taken a very small town and have really transformed it, and they've taken that team to back promotions, and we were able to recreate the entire race course. We were able to connect with fans all over the world, again, through Quest. People can watch and feel like they're on the pitch, even when they're not, feel like they're sitting in Wales, even when they're not. And it's an opportunity for, again, fans to connect with the players and the town. People feel like they're there, like they're drinking a pint with the owner of the bar that they see on the show. And that familiarity, that connection, that community is very authentic to that experience that they have felt from watching the show now for 5 seasons. And you can only get that from that human connection. And so the technology is not to replace that human connection. It's just meant to actually extend it and create that closeness.
Yeah, I would say that partnerships grow our business more than any other facet of pro sports. And to what Jeremi was saying, yes, content consumption might feel more fragmented, but streaming has enabled a fan in Boston or Tampa Bay or the Golden State area to watch Tom Brady whenever he's there, even folks in Europe. And so what you have is it's sort of a seamless consumption funnel. And what you can create with advertisers and distributors is a relationship with the fan through the player that can expound on the overarching experience, which is ultimately what an advertiser wants. They want to service their customers and bring in new customers. And the properties, especially live sports, are in the best position to do that. Cutting back to why Sport Beach exists, it's just the last form of appointment watching television. Going back to streaming, all of entertainment is behind a paywall in the form of a subscription fee that we pay monthly, so we are often not being served ads. Now there are ad tiers, but that's still during 7-minute blocks. The thing about a sports fan, like of the PL and WL, our fans are 3 times more likely to try a product of an advertiser of our league because they're so sticky to lacrosse and they're appreciative of a partner coming in. That's really powerful. And so we're taking partnerships and trying to integrate them with our distribution partner in ESPN, with folks like Meta, working hopefully one day to do a deal with Fanatics.
Let's do it right now.
I would love to. And
You
we've got
witnessed it
7
there.
minutes.
Okay, let's go.
And then ultimately integrate. And so Sport Beach, being here, live sports, getting the opportunity to engage with your existing customers and new customers through the unlock, right? Fans are not just waiting for 7-minute blocks. Advertising exists and is welcome throughout the entire run of play.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So I want to talk about human psychology, because as we know, the best experiences are deeply resonant at a human level. And I'm curious your perspective on how you approach building experiences that really touch that human condition, that sense of belonging, the sense of being connected to community or something much larger than just ourselves. And do you have thoughts, perspective on how that takes shape, or even how you think about designing immersive experiences?
Yeah, I think for us, and I will be brief because they design far more immersive experiences, so I will hand the mic to my friend and colleague here. But I think for us, it's really about the authenticity. It's really interesting when you look at the Fanatics products. They are all authentic. We work with each league, most major leagues and teams and colleges around the world. And people on Fanatics spend a lot more money and make a lot more money than people who shop for the same stuff, let's say, on a larger platform where I used to work. But nonetheless, I think it's so you can tell that people care about authenticity. So when they are buying that hat, when they are buying that jersey, when they are buying that collaboration that we do with an artist and a team, they are immersing themselves and like loud and proud walking out the door and saying, this is who I am. And if you're in New York and you're wearing a Mets hat or a Yankees hat, you are a very different person, yet you can have an immediate conversation because you've identified who you are by wearing it on your hat, on your head, or on your body. And you are far more immersive than a jersey. So carry on.
Meta is definitely a data-driven company, so we look at how users are consuming our products, and we're building for them. And so we have a deep partnership with Be My Eyes. We have created this product to support the low vision community, and the Meta AI assistant can be a support for the low vision community, where it can help people read and see what's in front of them and have an assistant support their everyday activities. My colleague and friend, who is one of our creative partners, I actually asked him to use this example today. So I got permission to use this example, but his son has ADHD, and he uses the glasses for reminders. And so 20 minutes, send your homework in, or reminder to clean your room. So AI can be a very helpful assistant when it is used as a force for good, and that is how we design our products, to be a helpful support when the AI can see everything that you see, can hear everything that you hear, and help you throughout the day to remind you where you parked your car, where you left your keys, how many calories you've eaten, how much protein you've had, so that it can help support you live a better life.
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear that story. So I have ADHD, auditory processing disorder. I grew up using Kurzweil 3000, which was a platform that automated our text into voice, and it's now what Apple acquired years later, and what we hear with Siri. I told you guys backstage that my career and what's authentic to me is really started by a Facebook page. And I was drafted to a former league in 2008 called Major League Lacrosse. They didn't have a distribution deal. And that was right when Facebook launched fan pages. So I went from a friend account that at the time was capped at 5,000 people. No one has 5,000 friends. But what was happening was
Except
a lot of young kids, lacrosse players, were watching the Final Four, which was on ESPN, and I played at Johns Hopkins. And they were just organically going to my Facebook page, but it was capped. Then the fan pages launched, and you could translate that over to a mode of communication. And just with a Facebook page, I started new distribution in professional lacrosse and then professional sports. So we used a lot of that now organic 3 billion plus people around the world on social to communicate with each other in a way to launch our league 12 years later, and that was never on my radar. On the mental health side, we offer services to players now. And the other thing I was saying backstage is I've only used social media professionally, and I consider myself lucky. kids these days are growing up with it and using it to build friendships. And then those kids that become pros are entering into a class where their teams and the leagues are asking them and their brand partnerships to use it professionally. Here's the other thing about athletes. We're super metric driven. Statistics is how we're getting paid. And how athletes, whether it's a wide receiver or a point guard in basketball or an attackman in lacrosse, is getting bonused at the end of the year. How many goals and assists do they have? What's their sort of on-field time, possession on a percentage basis to the rest of the team? So no matter how you cut it, we think about metrics. So if you translate that over to social, when they post, they go, I want to perform. They're winners. But social media is not about performance when it comes to mental health. It's just about publishing, as Rick Rubin would say. He challenges us all to think about the audience last. But get your shit out there. Do what you love to do. There's a difference between self-promotion and sharing your passion. And so we work with our athletes around delineating the difference so that they're not refreshing their feed and seeing how many likes or comments they're getting because they're reading somewhere about like an influencer scoring X amount on a percentage basis. So that's also really important to get right. And I want to work with advertisers that understand that.
It's so interesting. We're already talking about how we learn. It's different from you to me. And I think we're moving beyond this hyper-personalization of content and advertising to now anticipatory of learning needs and styles to fine-tuning of training initiatives. And I know if we had more time, we could really go into that too, but I see that our time is coming to a close. So as we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you, building tech-driven experiences now that are mutually beneficial both to organization brand as well as to end audiences and to fans, how are we looking at that and what's next?
Yeah, I'll keep it not to 3 seconds, but I'll do my best. I think that one of the things for us that's really interesting is that we are known as a retail company, but we also we own Tops, we own Lids, the hat store, we have a betting and gaming site, we have casual gaming, all these things. And I think one of the things that people used to identify with is, I'll go back to the New York example, I am a Yankees fan. Okay, that's awesome. What else are you? What else do? You don't only like one sport. You don't only like one athlete. You don't only like one team. So by building things that are more daily habits across our platform and primarily in our app, we get to know our customers a lot better so that the brand experiences are better. And I think the goal is like, we want to know, not in a weird, creepy way, but like your whole person. Like there are a lot of, let's call them Cowboys fans. And then you're like, why? You've never even been to Dallas. And so to be able to understand that across the platform in its entirety, and I'm looking at you, Kevin, but if you look at that platform across its entirety, it doesn't mean you bet on the Cowboys. You might bet on prop bets in lacrosse. And understanding that deeply really matters. And now you have negative 12 seconds.
Personalization. I think it's really about, what is the thing that matters to you most?
I would say sitting with the experts, which makes Cannes so great, is that you have CMOs, chief advertising officers, chief strategy officers. We own and operate our app. We take responsibility and also a lot of pride in pulling customer data, understanding it, and being able to serve them what they want and work with our advertisers around doing that. And I would say sort of understanding where you are and whatever you do in your pound-for-pound weight class amongst the industry. So the PLL is not the NFL. The NFL can sell an advertising against tonnage. The NBA sells a lot of like what is culturally relevant and the conversation and the stars that they have. Baseball sells tonnage and pouring rights and local viewership. We have the youngest audience in all of pro sports. So we're talking about the next gen. And because we also understand where we are pound for pound, we want to do cool shit and try new things. And so we're often the first one raising our hand. We did it with ESPN Plus this year as they figure out their direct-to-consumer strategy. They want to integrate across Hulu and Disney Plus, and we're the first platform to be watched across all without any friction. So you could have watched opening weekend 2 weeks ago on Disney Plus. So that's us raising our hand. And we'll be raising our hand all week. So Maddie Lee's our chief commercial officer. My brother Mike's my co-founder over there. And we love partnership.
Thank you. Well, let's Yeah, let's wrap up here. I think it's amazing. I'm so inspired. Just hearing each of your perspectives is giving me ideas around how the next wave of how we're shaping experiences in immersive technology to deepen our engagement between brands and organizations and audiences and fans. But it's also not just a marginal improvement. This is deepening the way we experience that visceral sense of, I was there, touching grass, in ways that maybe in a physical experience wouldn't do. You know, and it kind of, yeah, it exponentiates what was possible. So we're getting the wrap-up time. Thank you again so much, and thank you for
Sarah.
joining us.
Thank you.